Hey, pizza people. Hope you've been keeping it cheesy. Hollywood Pizza here, and we've got some coverage today of the top 8 from the Pizza Box Open Standard. It was a set championship qualifier for Streets of New Capenna, April 17th. We've got commentary from John Likes Games and Hamhocks42. All their information can be found in the description down below. We also have a tournament this coming Sunday, April 24th. It's going to be Slice of Historic. That's right, Historic Best of 3. It's going to have some great gameplay and commentary as well. And if you enjoy the video, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment down below. As always, stay cheesy.
Again, real quick thank you to all of those wonderful folks behind the scenes. Really want to give a quick shout out to our previous commentators, Ziggy Sawdust and
Brian Sengier. Yep,
Brian Sengier of the
EDH Wrecked
podcast.
Yes.
So definitely check that out, folks. And of course Ziggy on Twitch here. So definitely check those wonderful folks out as well as we are progressing into the game.
Excellent. All right. So we're looking from ProtoPulse's perspective. This is ProtoPulse versus Tsubaki.
Yes.
Excellent.
So, all right. Interesting. Is this... Okay, so it does look like 2 of our Naya Runes players got into the top 8, but It was not as bad as it could have been. It was not a disaster this time.
Yes, we have seen those tournaments where 6 of the top 8 are on the same deck. We are not in that situation here. So yeah, we have Teamer Treasures, 2 Mardu mid-range. The mono white control list did make it in. We have 2 Naya Runes, and one of the Jeskai Storm players made the cut as well. So hopefully we get an opportunity to see that deck in action here in a little bit. But right now we are watching Orzhov midrange versus Naya Runes.
All right, so Fable Mirror Breaker doing a little looting, sending lands away. Tsubaki fixing their hand some. But remember, folks, we discussed this before. Is this a mirror, or is this a rematch?
I think it is.
Same one we just saw not that long ago, where there was Arcana Maria.
I think you might be right. And if you're Tsubaki, you're going, not again. Come on.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, this is game 1 again, folks. So fear not. No 4 Archons in the main, but there is one, and it's on the battlefield.
Yep.
Oh boy.
You only need 1 in the main if it's in the first couple cards you draw.
Agreed.
Right.
Now, it's also notable that in the main, the Naya Runes deck just tries to be really aggressive, execute their game plan very quickly, and win the game, hopefully, very early on. There is only just a single Circle of Confinement. Is that correct?
That might be correct.
I believe in the main that handles this Arcana Maria.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. I mean, it's also true. I would note that, I was going to say, the Rite of Oblivions, the Deadly Disputes, they all require a sacrifice. Yes. And there was currently nothing that you really want to sacrifice on the board, but it just on time, here comes a wedding announcement.
Yeah, that definitely gives you some fodder to open up there. Well, but the Legion Angels are hitting on curve, which is, if you're going to be executing plan B, I'd much rather it be Legion Angel on 4 and 5. You can do a lot worse than that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rite of Oblivion going to handle the reflection of Kiki-Jiki because they don't want to be staring down 3 4/3 attackers, or worse yet, ladies and gents, 4 4/3 attackers, because Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is a broken magic card.
It's pretty darn good, yeah. Well, it's funny because you're right. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is a broken magic card, yet crazily enough, it is the fixed version of Kiki-Jiki, the Mirror Breaker, to give you an idea of just how busted that card was originally. Yeah. I'm actually shocked that they reprinted anything that resembled Kiki-Jiki with how insane that card is with various Splinter Twin combos and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely bonkers.
For sure. Well, folks, things looking pretty difficult for ProtoPulse here. And of course, the Runes deck has got to be favored in game one, I would think. Right? Then
I'd imagine, yeah. I mean, I would agree with that.
But you know, still, good lord. Not like this. This is not the way you want to go down.
No,
Okay.
definitely not. That Meat Hook Massacre could turn the tide nicely, though.
Yeah. And finally hit a land drop as well. That was looking pretty rough.
Absolutely.
Okay, and another land here. Okay, we're finally back in business.
Yeah, but is it soon enough?
I don't know. It's a great question. So, yeah, this is rough. Rite of Oblivion going to sacrifice the treasure, but you're running out of things to sacrifice again, right?
Right.
And if the Archon of Mary goes away, Tsubaki is on about 340 cards.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm not great at math, folks, but it's got to be somewhere close to that.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. As far as ProtoPulse is concerned, that's accurate. Yeah, keeping that hand limited is huge right now.
Do you block?
Yeah, I don't think I do.
Man, I agree, but boy, does that feel bad. Dropping to 3 against the all trample, whole bunch of haste deck is absolutely terrifying here.
Yeah, it's scary.
Now that you have the 4th toughness, Meat Hook X equals 3, it's on the table, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what you need to do, too. The wedding festivities coming in clutch here.
All right. Oh boy, showdown of the Scalds. Jeez, folks. As if Tsubaki needed more action.
Yeah, no joke. All right, so another deadly dispute.
Okay.
Might as well hit the land here.
Yeah, it's always whoa.
4?
Okay. Went all the way up to 4 for a second. Had
Had
me
me nervous.
going. Oh man. Notably gaining 2 life here. Very, very relevant.
Absolutely.
Folks, oftentimes, particularly when you're newer, it is difficult to rate just how good or bad life gain can be, right? Because if you have a card like Healing Stream, when I was a new player, man, I was really excited about Healing Stream. That card reads green X, gain X life. And I just thought, this card it's just broken. How can they ever kill me when I gain like 8 life in a turn or something? You know, turns out I died a whole bunch of times after casting X equals 2 or something. You know, it's just not very good. But when you can gain life while doing something you already want to do, it can really get out of hand. And that is what the Meat Hook Massacre is trying to provide here. Whoa.
All right, so the Hive of the Eye Tyrant coming in. It looks for a second like ProtoPulse really wanted to play out the Invoke Despair after casting the Eye Twitch. However, they were unable to because of the Archon of Emeria, because it is a universal effect.
Yeah. See, that's why I was kind of curious about the Eye Twitch play. I think ProtoPulse might be kicking themselves just a little bit after that one. I don't feel like the Eye Twitch is a super high value play here, whereas the Invoke Despair could have been, I think.
Right.
That they would not have had to sacrifice the Showdown of the Scalds because there is the Rune of Sustenance over there on their own land. So that could have been sacrificed instead. But the Legion Angel would have went away. So, ay.
And here comes another showdown.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, yeah, okay. The same mistake will not be made twice.
Yes.
Looks like it's going to be an Invoke Despair for sure. And Tsubaki does drop to 13.
Yeah, Mascot Exhibition is kind of the highest value play here. Another Invoke Despair, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, the mission accomplished, folks. That just makes you feel bad. I can confirm. Do you attack here?
You know, knowing the threat of haste isn't particularly strong now because of Archon being down, and this being only game 1 where Tsubaki just does not have many answers to that Archon. You know, actually, we were looking at the list, and the only targeted removal is that Circle of Confinement. Well, let's see.
I actually agree 100%. I was about to say I think this attack is great because it is true. If they remove your Archon, you're gonna die. But if they remove your Archon, you're gonna die. So
might as well take the shot. Yep.
Yeah, I would say being able to crash in here and change the numbers on that clock is very, very good. Then being able to follow it up by making your Archon of Emeria indestructible, and adding a couple of 5/5s to the board's got to feel just great. Both 5/5s individually lethal on their own, and sure enough, Tsubaki forced to scoop it up.
And with that, we are moving on to game 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
More Archons coming in. No surprise there.
I don't think there has ever been cards come into the side or come in from the sideboard faster than those 3 Archon of Emeria's made it.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Invoke Despair goes out. A wedding announcement goes out. And something else went out, and I didn't see it before it was submitted. So
yeah, and one check for traps came in. So
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
The other thing I find fascinating is just how, we've seen Legion Angel quite a bit today. And for a 1-of, I'm shocked at how often that card comes up. Like, it's shockingly relevant. Well, I guess the thing is, it's relevant and possibly the best 4-drop you can hit when you have access to it.
Agreed.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
it's just... And I remember that was when I got wrong when I was analyzing it for the first time, because I remember thinking it's just a 4/3 flyer. I mean, sure, it draws you a card, but like, is that card really worth it? It turns out, yeah, a 4/3 flyer that draws you a 4/3 flyer that draws you a 4/3 flyer that draws you a 4/3 flyer. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
That's a pretty darn good card. Admittedly, I was on that, or I actually believed I was an early adopter on it, and I said the card is broken.
Okay.
I just was dumb. The way I thought it was going to be played was I thought you were going to have 3 in the main and 1 on the side. So the 4/3 flyer will always replace itself, but you're going to see it all the time. It turns out that's not the way you want to play it at all. You want to play it as your 60th card, and when it comes up, you win. Yay! Right. Will you see it every game? No, you won't. So just play whatever game you were intending to play. You do have a game plan, right? Execute the game plan.
Right. And if you happen to hit this 4-drop, sweet. Yeah.
And it turns out that's a very, very strong play pattern in the decks that want it, obviously.
Absolutely. All right, so we have Vanishing Verse and a Ganjo. That's pretty sweet. And the Archon of Emeria is just hanging out, ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, you just jam it here, right? I mean,
totally.
Don't even think twice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and because of the treasure tokens, you even have Vanishing Verse up right now. How sweet is that? Or Deadly Dispute if they do have an answer to the Archon. Which coming out of the sideboard, there's a decent chance of that.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely agree. Runeforge Champion going again. This is concerning, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more Rune of Might. That's the one that you would be scared of here, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, how about that top deck though, huh?
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I don't mind that top deck.
If you're going to be casting 1 spell a turn, I mean,
what's a pretty good one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can even Vanishing Verse the 1 champion and still hold up the mana for Wandering Emperor should Tsubaki choose to attack this turn, which I don't know how likely that is, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah. Now admit. Okay, Jeff. We were
just
talking
about that card. Okay.
And it's very strong in this style matchup where ProtoPulse wants to 1v1 or 1-for-1 and 1-for-1 and 1-for-1 and 1-for-1 and 1-for-1 and like, get their planeswalkers down. And sooner or later, the Wandering Emperor isn't a 1-for-1, and the Rite of Oblivions feel like a 1-for-1, but it's very not. And there's this feeling of symmetrical that stops being symmetrical. Well, Legion Angel just breaks that symmetry in half, right?
Absolutely. Because it really comes down to, do you have hand disruption or a counter spell? If you don't have either of those, these things are just going to keep coming.
Yep, for sure.
All right, they choose not to use the Deadly Dispute, instead keeping up Wandering Emperor.
This is a fine decision, I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Legion Angel planning on making it to the board because they didn't want to. Remember, folks, you have to respect the runes deck. The minute you stop respecting the runes deck, it will kill you.
Yes.
You know, it's like a hot oven or something. You know, it's a fine thing to interact with every single day, but just respect it, and it's fine, right? Or whatever. In this case, if you disrespect the runes deck, they just might kill you this turn. So ProtoPulse paying that respect very wisely, I think, and elects to hold on to the Wandering Emperor and just make sure that Runeforce champion isn't going to become a 7/7 or an 8/8 and kill them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rite of Oblivion, a very strong card, which does notably have the one downside of being sorcery speed.
Yes.
That is the one real major flaw with that card. Other than that, it can hit any non-land permanent. You have to sacrifice something. You get to sacrifice something. It exiles. It does all the things you want in your removal, except it's just its sorcery speed.
Yep. And I think you bring up a very, very solid point. That sorcery speed removal is a very, very real drawback.
Ooh, this is a spicy play by Tsubaki. Pithing Needle.
Going to name Wandering Emperor, right? It
100%.
does.
Yeah. I mean, Hive the Eye Tyrant was the only other option there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Wandering Emperor, 100%. Yep.
So okay, if it rolls around to your turn, do you still just run it out?
That's a tough call.
Being mana efficient is something, but you're out of gas. The deal is you could bait the Aganjo attack and bait them into attacking your Wandering Emperor. Yeah, okay, here we go. And interesting. Going to fire off the Rite of Oblivion, sacrificing Wandering Emperor.
Wow. Sacrificing the mythic planeswalker that is dominating standard at this moment to kill a 1-drop. An uncommon 1-drop at that. And frankly, that was the right move. How 100% nuts is agree. That? Runemite going on the Lair of the Hydra. Okay. Tsubaki is anticipating removal for the Jukai Naturalist.
Showdown of the Scalds. Oh my goodness.
Man, that layer is not messing around.
Man, okay, so now what? I mean, there's 7 mana. I assume. Yeah, okay. Like you're gonna do what the cards say, right? You're gonna jam your Amarius Call. Do you feel like? Wow. Doesn't. Okay, maybe. Yeah, is it Eye Twitch and Hive the Eye Tyrant? Or is it just Archon of or Amarius Call? Please forgive me. I keep calling it Archon of Amarius. That's the wrong card. That is in this list, but this isn't that card. Okay.
Going for the Hive.
Goes after the rune.
Runes. Very nice.
Yep.
Chooses not to play off the Eye Twitch.
Is this just bluffing? Is this representing removal you don't have?
It might be, yeah.
Interesting.
Now, notably, ProtoPulse is not going into full control here, which I think I would do if I was trying to bluff removal. Because those pauses can really, help tell a story that isn't necessarily accurate.
Yeah. The story is a nice way of saying lie.
Well, yeah, I know. You're straight up lying to your opponent, 100%. It's telling a story that's not accurate. I'm not lying. I'm just telling a story that isn't accurate.
Right. I understand. Okay. Yeah, but off the top comes an untapped land, and sure enough, now that Eye Twitch is indestructible.
Okay.
That means something here.
Absolutely.
Does it mean enough?
I'm not sure.
Level with me here. ProtoPulse is living on the top of their library, and Tsubaki is not.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, Tsubaki's ahead on board and ahead on cards. And with that Pithing Needle down, if ProtoPulse top decks a Wandering Emperor, it's just a dead draw. It's even worse than a basic land at this point.
now, it's true, the Runes player was on the play, and darn it, that's absolutely where the Runes player wants to be.
100%.
But, man, this is sketchy.
Yeah, no, it's not looking good for ProtoPulse in this game. Now, they are up 1 game, so that means we will go to a game 3, which I always enjoy a good game 3.
Yeah, sure. More Magic is great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're all shocked to see this. A very large attack happens.
No way. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I am aghast.
Oh, Legion Angel. That's a
Okay, you
draw.
can change anything. No, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki still exists. That's a magic card.
True. Yeah.
And you can cast 2, and that's great. You now have 12 power on board and almost that much toughness. But, like, Reflection's going to make another Legion Angel. Going to crash in. Is that enough? It might be, actually.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and ProtoPulse is having that moment that many of us have had with Emiria's Call, where you can't help but wonder, how come all these other token generators produce Vigilant Angels and this one doesn't? Come on. What's up with that?
Yeah.
That 4 damage would have been nice, but
for sure.
you can't afford to tap that angel right now.
Well, okay, so how do you get out of this? Okay, so is it still worth doing? Do you still just tap the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki? Make a Legion Angel. Yep. Crash in. Wow, okay, so they hold back the Skyclave Apparition and the Jukai Naturalist.
Okay.
See, I think this is fine because now, well, see, I think I would have rather crashed in with the other 2 as well. The blocks are never good the other way. They are not forced to kill the 4/3 Legion Angel. That's going to die. They are forced to block both the other Legion Angel and the other 4/4. So if you had attacked with the Jukai Naturalist and the Skyclave Apparition, this set of blocks is not available.
Right.
And now it's a trade, and they drop to 2. Admittedly, it's not. I feel like ProtoPulse is still well behind because Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is a heck of a magic card. But, like, it does have to do something here. You know, if Tsubaki doesn't do something this turn, maybe they're not ahead anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, they need to rip a Showdown, and Runeforge Champion is pretty good.
Well, how's that for one?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I need to do something? Yeah, I'll do something. Yeah. Yep,
well,
you're doing something. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And Reflection of Kiki-Jiki can make a copy of the Runeforge Champion, which can go fetch up another rune. So that's pretty fantastic as well.
Okay. And Ranger class comes down, levels up. Okay, so now what? Just the Jukai Naturalist.
Okay.
You must block, obviously.
Yeah, no choice. They have to.
And there's no reason not to double block because if they do have something, you don't want to die.
Right.
But
yeah, it's either lose a second angel or the game. So,
right. And if yeah. Interesting. Oh. All
right.
Well, it says non-angel creatures.
There's true.
Yep. Line of text on Legion Angel that is notable here. The one that says angel.
Yeah, that type line. It happens to not interact the way we want it to. Yeah.
But Reflection of Kiki-Jiki making a clone of Runeforge Champion. Again, folks, we went over this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
After the beginning, of the end step has already happened. We're now in the middle of the end step, and they make a Runeforge champion. That Runeforge champion not going to go away until Tsubaki's end step, and now they get to go and find a Rune of Might, and then potentially activate Reflection of Kiki-Jiki again and go and find another one.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic synergy there. No question about it.
For sure.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they chose to put the Rune of Might on the token that's going to be sacrificed at the end of turn.
Because that one's the one that must be... Whoa. What?
Yeah, I'm a little confused myself, but...
I mean, it doesn't matter. This is good enough. They had 5 attackers. It doesn't
right, 5
make
attackers, 4 blockers, but yeah.
Make another clone of the Runeforge champion, I think. Unless maybe Tsubaki was holding like 3 protection spells or something. They're just like, oh, why am I fooling around with this? I'm just going to push the attack all button. And that's, I guess, fair as well.
That's fine. Yeah, I can appreciate that. And sure enough, it was enough to win the game. It's just not the line that I would have taken there. I would have been making more copies. But I also love making copies of my stuff, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, there is also something to be said for little bad manners when the situation calls for it.
True. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, that was very close. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Definitely maybe stretched on a little longer than I expected it might, but I think that's one of those things that both of these decks really do well is defy the casters, right? They as soon as you think you got them figured out where they're going, we'll see if they do that yet again, but okay. ProtoPulse pulls up a hand with no white mana in it.
Yep, but also no white spells. So you could do worse than that.
And a murder as well.
Indeed.
We'll see if it eventually becomes a... What's the 4 mana version of murder that we got for a couple of years there when they were unwilling to give us murder?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, neither do I, because it never saw play.
That forgettable. Yeah, exactly.
But either way, I Twitch crashes in for that devastating 1 point of damage. Still no white mana off the top, but Deadly Dispute likely to arrange white mana one way or another.
Yep. Yeah, because, well, Deadly Dispute, sacrificing Eye Twitch, you grab Environmental Sciences, all's well.
Yep, or just drawing into it.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it's a distinct possibility here.
Probably still going after it. Which does ensure that you'll draw it, because that's the way that works.
Absolutely.
There's a 0% chance you get the land if you don't go after Environmental Sciences, so you might as well.
Well, and interestingly, here running the Snarl, using Environmental Sciences first to fetch up the planes so you have it in hand so the Snarl comes into play untapped. That was a really slick line. I like it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, I hadn't thought of using the Snarls alongside Environmental Sciences like that, because I generally don't think of using the Snarls. But apparently there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, interesting. So keep in mind, folks, that Haggard Mauling is still a 3 mana spell. Blowing my mind. Now, admittedly, ProtoPulse is just running it out. I agree with this because you cannot respond to land drops. Land drops are not on the stack. And if the land drop for Tsubaki ended up being just a basic plains or a basic forest, that would become a 4 mana spell and you'd have to spend a treasure. I think considering you're almost certainly going after that one, you might as well do it now. Legion Angel showing up again for Tsubaki. This is wild. Very, very good in this matchup.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Meat Hook coming down.
Yeah. And let's see.
I'm gonna learn up Necrotic Fumes.
Ooh.
Tsubaki's gonna rip a showdown of the skulls. That's pretty scary, but fortunately that is one fewer Legion Angel that ProtoPulse needs to deal with for the moment anyway.
Yeah, it's delaying the inevitable, but it's delaying it. The inevitable is not here yet.
All right, there's the mascot exhibition.
Yep. And
Instant
notably,
board.
that necrotic fumes, pretty good here. Pretty good here. Lots of fodder to be sacrificing. Not the least of which is the Mihawk Massacre. There's redundant copies in the hand, and they are legendary, so there's no reason not to sacrifice that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or wait, is necrotic fumes sacrifice a permanent, or is it?
I think it's sacrifice a creature. Let me check on that.
My memory always failing me on that. It
No
is a creature.
worries.
I'm sorry, and it's
No worries.
a creature, but that's all right. I don't mind appearing foolish. It happens from time to time.
We've all been there. It's all good. That's why, that's why it's always okay to double check and reread the cards.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Yeah, that necrotic fumes being able to get rid of the Jukai Naturalist feels pretty good here. You can attack the Inkling because it represents the lowest power on board. Even though flying is relevant, but sitting with 2 meat hooks back, that Inkling wasn't going to stick around much anyway. So,
Yep, I agree. The problem with this turn, though, is 2 showdowns will grow a creature very, very quickly. So here comes Legion Angel. Adding another Legion Angel hand. How many runes are there? We know of 1. So that happens.
Ooh.
Draws a card. Is there another spell? There's not. Okay. This is not ideal. But I do think it's not insurmountable either.
Sweet.
Oh my goodness.
That Rite of Oblivion was exactly what ProtoPulse needed.
And this one is absolutely sacrifice an online permanent.
Yep, you can sacrifice a meat hook to that. Perfect. New Tameo safekeeping. What?
All right, can we do it again? No. Yes, right? Just meat hook X equals 0. Rite of Oblivion.
Oh, hexproof though, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
No, so we would need to cast the Meat Hook Massacre for 5, and we're just 1 mana short of that.
Yeah, exactly. No, inconvenient.
Inconvenient indeed.
It was looking really sweet there for just a second. And then
there was a moment. Yeah,
cards
dude.
have text. You gotta read them.
Yeah, rumor has it that's the thing. Yeah.
All right.
Fable.
Fable.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And remember all that hard work you did, lowering their life total all the way down to the low 11? All of that is gone. All of it. Every bit of it is gone. And Rite of Oblivion, going to sacrifice a 3/2, it looks like? Or is it going to be the meat hook? Interesting. How would you deploy your hand here?
That's a good question.
Because you also leave yourself open if they have another Tameo safekeeping, which there are more than one on the list.
Yeah, I would probably throw the Rite of Oblivion, targeting the Legion Angel, and then roll out the wedding announcement, is my thought, and get that online. Because you want to be able to hit the Meat Hook Massacre after the Fable flips. I mean, granted, you could do it twice, theoretically. So
do you attack with your 3/2?
That's
having this knowledge. The opponent is likely to trade. They know about the Rite of Oblivion.
Right. Yeah, I can appreciate attacking with both, because then when you play out the wedding announcement, it's going to draw you a card. Yeah, that Aganjo hurts.
I mean, does it though? It was always going to get you, and now it just informs your decision. I'm not fooling around here, right?
Right.
Let's just run out another Meat Hook Massacre. Save my Rite of Oblivion.
And even if there is another Tameo safekeeping in Tsubaki's hand, it's not going to help here. So
Correct.
yeah, no, I guess in the end that getting that Aganjo out of their hand was worth it.
Yeah, it would have been really nice if there had been a sequence of plays that allowed you to deploy your wedding announcement. That would be really, really great. But
yeah, you can wait a turn on that. That's okay.
All right, Showdown.
My goodness, again. Here we go.
Okay. And Legion Angel, folks, this is a story we've heard before.
Yeah, stop me if you've heard this one. A Legion Angel gets played again. Anyway. Yeah, here we are. But the Meathook Massacre on board can account for a lot of life swings over the course of the game.
It's true. Now, how do you feel about that top deck, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For sure. I would like to, real quick, folks, I would like to say thank you for all of those wonderful people who have followed and subscribed. Again, Twitch Prime is free to you. If you have Amazon Prime, yeah, that service that lets you get all your stuff delivered for free and stuff, you get a free subscription here on Twitch every month. And if you don't do it, it just goes away. You don't get to bank them and save them or anything. You might as well drop it in. So drop that here. It's down there on the subscription button if you were interested in that sort of thing. But also, again, thank you for all those follows. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and John, thank you for taking that moment. Just thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. Like, we appreciate it very, very much. These tournaments are a blast. We're throwing a party 3 times a month here. We're honored that you're all here, and I'm glad we're all having a good time together. Ooh, Circle of Confinement coming down to get rid of that token. All right, with the showdown triggers. Man, the
Yeah.
showdown triggers are so powerful.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Tsubaki knows. They don't know that the Meathook Massacre is there, but they know they need to grow their creature in earnest. They can't fool around here, because they need to get ProtoPulse dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, crashing in for 6 lifelink. Remember, Pepperidge Farm remembers a time
Pepperidge Farm remembers
when they were at 11, and that time is not now. That time is long gone.
Here comes another Pithing Needle. And I gotta say, when one of the strongest pieces of removal in a format is a Planeswalker, it's a good time to have Pithing Needle.
Yeah, it's true. Can you X equals 7 here? Do we have the mana for that? I think we do.
It's a tap out, but totally worth it.
I 100% agree. Get that stuff out of here. And it feels like Tsubaki, every game we've seen them have the Pithing Needle, there has been a Wandering Emperor in hand.
Right?
That is so brutal. That is so brutal.
Ouch.
Though I'll admit, this has produced some really, really interesting commentary. So in some ways, I've got to thank you, Tsubaki.
Indeed.
That's it makes our job much easier when there's something to talk about. Let me tell you. Ooh, Tsubaki has entered the phase of the game where they are putting trampling runes on lands that do not have attack abilities. But oh no, another Showdown of the Scald shows up.
Is that the 4th showdown? And let's see, it looks like I got a Guardian of Faith. Check for traps. Yeah, can't touch the cards exiled with Showdown, but let's see what's in the hand.
Oh ho.
That's a nice little removal suite they've got, as well as Tameo Safekeeping.
All of this is bad news, honestly.
Yeah, it really is.
All right. So I think I would be on the Tameo Safekeeping plan. You know you're going to need targeted removal if the game is going to end in a victory for you, right? So yeah, I mean, I think I agree with them there. Is that where you would have been as well?
Probably, yeah. And I might have grabbed Portable Hole, but to be honest, it removing just 1 token isn't that big of a threat. So as much as I want to keep these tokens around, these little 2/2s aren't going to be doing much, in the late game, other than being sacrifice fodder for things like Red of Oblivion or Deadly Dispute.
Agreed.
Which,
Agreed.
to be fair, might be exactly what they need. Here comes the Guardian of Faith.
Yeah.
Just produce another body. And they're getting all those sweet showdown triggers.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Oh boy.
And Guardian of Faith just casually has vigilance. So even if the Pithing Needle wasn't there, Wanderer still couldn't kill it.
See, the problem I'm having with this game right now is that I'm getting physically angry about the Wandering Emperor being in my hand right now. And it's not even my hand. I shouldn't be emotionally invested in this game, but that Pithing Needle is really doing work. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Yep.
Tsubaki deploys their hand.
Oh, that Arcana of Myria is just a turn too late.
I mean, you're still happy for the final showdown turn here.
Sure.
But, like, the damage is done.
Right.
The cards have been deployed. Oh, man. What do you draw here? 3 Meathook Massacres have been deployed. I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, but there's only 3 in the list. There's only 3 in the 75.
Yeah, I don't know
Was
what to
Bright
draw,
Climb
but it's not
Pathway it?
that. Yeah. I don't know what you need right now, but a Bright Climb Pathway is not going to do the job.
Man!
Yeah, you just can't count that Runes deck out. You
No.
can never count that Runes deck out.
Well, that was a harrowing experience, but I believe this is GG. Unless Tsubaki decides to play extraordinarily carefully, I can't justify why that might be.
Right.
But, man, oh man. That is
this is a heck of a
vicious.
game.
Yeah.
Well, and it's easy to look at something like that one of Pithing Needle coming out of the sideboard and think, well, of course they won. They lucked out and hit that card they needed. But if you look at the size of their libraries right now,
Yeah.
Tsubaki has 15 cards left, whereas ProtoPulse is sitting at over 30. The truth of the matter is Tsubaki drew a crazy amount of cards that game
It's true.
by hitting all those showdowns.
Yeah.
Yep, and ProtoPulse is going to show the Wanderer and just, yep, you got it.
And folks, for the record, that was not a I still had all these. That was a you made the right name. Well played, opponent. That was
Yeah, exactly.
That was what was going on there.
Yeah, that felt like a tip of the cap to me. Yeah.
Yep. Serious props to both players. I think that was both entertaining and well played for sure. We're gonna
Absolutely.
hop over to a different match as best we can. And see what is happening over here. Oh boy. What are we looking at?
I don't know, but I see a Moonveil Regent and I'm happy because that's not a card you see every day.
Yeah, and that appears to be a Sarah Angel token from the Starnheim Unleashed. That. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the Teamer Treasure list versus Mono White Control. These are two of the spicier lists, in my opinion, that have come to the tournament today that have seen quite some success.
Yeah, and then they're at a game apiece, folks. We got here just for the climax of the gameplay here. It is now do or die for both of these players. They want to be able to bring home the first place in this tournament, and if they want to do that, it's going to start with a win right here. Vigilance and flying is a heck of a combination from way back, right?
Oh yeah.
And when you can attack and block in the air, oh boy, that's a huge advantage. But so is having the Reckoner Bankbuster drawing a million cards. So is having the Reckoner Bankbuster being able to attack. So is the Kiki-Jiki being able to copy your creatures. All of these things are fantastic. Can Saku stitch together a victory while the opponent has a Wandering Emperor and 7/7 Flying Vigilance on the board? Oh my goodness.
That's a tall order. We'll see.
No Goldspan Dragon here.
Yeah, no Goldspan yet. That's a very interesting choice.
Interesting. Looks like Voice of Serenity is considering, crewing up their own Reckoner Bankbuster rather than risking their Angel.
And then using that Bankbuster to eliminate the Goblin token.
Is
rather
there
than
a
trading for the
removal
other
spell?
Bankbuster. Yeah.
Or is it just like, there's got to be, right?
Yes, there it is. Yep.
Oh my goodness. This feels like a complete blowout. That was gross. And of course, what Saku was hoping for was exactly what Voice of Serenity was playing around, right?
Yes.
Voice of Serenity's 7/7 Flying Vigilance needed to survive and wanted to not allow the damage-based removal that Saku has in the list to come to bear, right? So as it turns out, has to cash in 1,000,000 treasures, but does eventually get the job done. 10 life, though, is not an overabundance of life.
Not exactly, but it was interesting because Voice of Serenity was able to use combat to have a pretty dramatic impact on Saku's board. Then Saku was able to leverage all that treasure to hit the Shatter Skull smashing. And so that was an apocalyptic turn for both of our players because they both had a really good looking board going into this. And now it's looking pretty slim.
Yeah, for sure. And notably, next turn, if that that Kiki-Jiki token doesn't go away, you can make copies of Goldspan Dragon.
Yeah, that
Oh
feels pretty good.
no.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Good heavens. All right. And still leave up Disdainful Stroke? That's got to feel good.
Absolutely.
Now, interesting.
Yeah, do you swing and put the okay, apparently not. Saku wanted to play a little more conservatively because of those angels.
Yeah,
Fair
see,
enough.
I absolutely agree with this line. I think you want to make the Goldspan Dragon token on Voice of Serenity's turn either way. Because you would rather swing in heavy with 2 sacrificing tokens to make a real impact on their life, or be able to block effectively. Make it so Voice of Serenity's attacks are less good, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, being at 10 life, you definitely have to be more conservative, which is not necessarily what Goldspan Dragon wants to do, because that card definitely wants to be attacking as fast as possible. But sometimes it's just the right line, and that's definitely what's going on here.
Yeah, for sure. Now, interestingly enough, interesting.
So the portable hole, the only counter in Saku's hands is a Disdainful Stroke, which can't touch this.
Yeah, interesting. That is going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into Saku's plans, because it makes all of this much more interesting, right?
Absolutely. So the 1/1 pilot is more or less irrelevant, so I'm assuming they're going after the clue token here. Looks like I was assuming correctly. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think this is about making it difficult for Saku to block, right? Because now they animate their own Reckoner Bankbuster, crash in with maybe the Cave and 2 Angels and the Reckoner Bankbuster, I think. And then you can block. Yeah, I think you need to swing with the Cave too, though. Because then they have to be blocking with all of these Goldspan Dragons, and you still have a much better board, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What? Okay. Interesting. Taking them off blue. That is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something coming this next turn that they wanted to make sure to play around
play around the counters.
Disdainful Stroke. This is interesting though, because this obviously has to happen. This is a lethal attack. Do you block with your other Goldspan Dragon? The Goldspan Dragon is obviously your ticket to victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, but it feels awful.
Yeah, this does feel bad. Oh my gosh. Suddenly, Voice of Serenity's line makes a lot of sense. Oh my
yes.
word.
Yep, getting that blue out of the mana base was big time. My goodness.
Oh man. Jeez. So how do you come back now? I assume the Emperor just goes up.
Right. Yeah. Upticks, buffs, probably one of the angels, I'm guessing.
Right.
Doesn't even really matter which at this point.
No, I agree. Oh my goodness. Drops to 6. Oh!
Another gold span's a pretty good hit.
But does it do anything? No, I mean, I guess it kills the Wandering Emperor, but then you die?
There's that.
No, I guess you
So,
don't die. No, you do, right? Because they
well,
only can create one blocker? No.
yeah, you play the Jaspar Sentinel, you got another
Yeah.
blocker for the Bank
Yeah, yeah.
Buster, and then you can create a gold span token to
Sure.
chump the angel. It's not going to be a trade, unfortunately, but sometimes just what you got to do.
Yeah. Man, this is a wild game. That extra gold span off the top really makes this interesting because I think that was the card,
I
right?
think you're right. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that Saku could have hit there.
Good lord. So if you had to pick a seat right now,
Oh man. I think Voice of Serenity still has the advantage, but not by much.
yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree there. I would still pick Voice of Serenity seat as well, but like, this is scary. Admittedly, the attacks aren't ideal now. It is definitely less good.
Sure.
Unless there's another Wandering Emperor, I guess. Then it becomes really good.
That'd be
Because,
pretty fantastic, yeah. Well,
yeah,
and that's ultimately why I want to give Voice of Serenity the edge, because there are a lot of cards that they could draw that can help them push this over the edge.
sure.
Whereas Saku only really has a handful of options that can help them bring this back.
Yeah, okay. Well, actually, I guess this is fine then, right? Because this is still, you do have to chump block the Angel. You can't trade with the Angel, right?
Right. The Jaspar Sentinel does have reach though, so it could trade with or it could chump the Angel while the Goldspan token deals with the Bank Buster.
Yeah.
You
But
go down to
see, I
3.
guess I was envisioning a scenario where there was a way to get rid of the Angel, but that's simply not the world we're living in.
Right.
Do you get rid of the interesting? Interesting.
Hmm.
Wow.
Okay, so they're going to animate the lair of the Hydra using the treasure mana.
To be able to double, or so they can chump the Bank Buster but still kill the land and then chump the Angel?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, this is
not necessarily what you want to be doing with the
fine.
lair of the Hydra, but you could do a lot worse than that.
Oof. Yeah, that was a good follow-up. All right. Okay, well, Reckoner Bankbuster coming down. That's a good one. It does draw.
Yeah, so you
But,
gotta hit that first, see what you get. So Kenzin, the red channel land.
okay, it blocks things on the ground. The problem is the multiple things in the air.
Right. That is definitely an issue.
I mean, no, I guess, yeah, it does. Okay. The reflection is not legendary though, right?
Correct.
So Kenzin is the full price. It's 4 mana.
Yes.
How can you attack here?
I don't see an option to do so. I mean, you're
I
taking
mean,
at least 3 damage on the crackback.
are you not dead on the crackback now?
With the Bank Buster,
Well,
so
no. Okay, I
Kenzin is
guess
gonna
you
help
make
a
the
bit.
treasure.
Yeah.
So now you can still Kenzin. But I don't know. This still feels bad. Admittedly, I can appreciate Saku's position being like, I'm playing to win, not playing to not lose, right?
Sure.
And eventually, you do have to reduce your opponent's life total to 0. That's definitely going to be a thing you is going to be required in this matchup.
Yeah, but it's definitely risky. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean,
Okay, that was a
yeah.
very good one.
Here comes the attack again.
Voice of Serenity going to crash in for a lot. So Kenzan going to get cashed in. Going to have to crack the treasure that was created to create a copy of the 4/4. You must block. You must just chump the 5/5. Right?
Yeah, it feels
Well,
bad, but you don't have a choice. Well,
and I guess you could eat the
I guess you
land.
do.
I don't know though. With the, I guess you have an extra blocker for the Crawling Barons coming up, but to me, it's one or the other, right? They're either activating the cave or they're activating the Crawling Barons. I guess
Right.
Saku is just saying, I need to be able to handle the flying threats more easily. And oh boy, well, here's folks, this is wild. All right, this is wild. Here comes the Cadillac. And that does make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the flying is the danger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Saku is establishing ground dominance with the Goldspan Dragon in the air. Now, I would want, if I was in Saku's position here, I'd probably hold the Goldspan Dragon back so that I'd be
Sure.
able to double block that 5/5 if they swung it with it. That's my thought there. But they seem to be preferring to go aggressive.
That's fair. But
Which,
admittedly, I think Saku is also saying, I have to fight the clock as well, right?
Oh, that's true.
Saku is behind by 3 minutes, I think.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
they've got about just a little over 5 minutes left on the clock. So that's a good point.
Oh boy. And it is true that at least normally the control deck is the one with the inevitability. I don't know this matchup inside and out because I've never played mono white control in standard. So this standard anyway. So it is what it is. Okay, no attacks from Voice
No
of Serenity.
attacks.
Wild. Reckoner Bankbuster gets cracked, and there is a Magda in the end step creating a Goldspan Dragon. That one attacks for free and is going to generate some treasure. The interesting thing here is the Cadillac could potentially... Interesting.
Wow. All right, Saku's got options.
Wow. This board looked very different about a turn and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes the Ranger class, and suddenly it's just not looking that bad. Okay, pick a seat. Not long ago,
I
we
mean,
both said...
there was a
Voice
second
of
ago where I said
Serenity.
Voice of Serenity was in a great position and was probably going to take this one home. And I got to say, I think Saku is turning the corner very effectively. I think they're going to be able to do this.
All right. Cadillac gets in. The Goldspan Dragon gets in. The copy. Yeah. Gonna make a copy of what token?
If you make a copy of the Goldspan token, do you have to sacrifice it at the end of turn?
You do, yeah.
Okay.
I believe the token has the property of... create a token with the properties equal to this card plus...
Okay.
Sacrifice the end of turn or whatever. But the notable thing here is that the Ranger class was the perfect card that they needed this turn, because now the Cadillac can swing by getting a +1/+1 counter. So yes, okay, it's true. The Angel can trade with it, but suddenly that's a pretty feel-bad moment when your opponent's just going to be able to crack back with all these Goldspan Dragons and kill you the following turn, right?
Right. Absolutely.
All right, so Reckoner Bankbuster comes alive, jumps in front just to chump, does not risk the Angel taking an extra couple of points of damage. Good lord, this is wild. Glad we got to come into this match, folks.
Oh, me too. This is fantastic.
Would not have known what I was missing, but good heavens. Voice of Serenity does not have any of the combat trick style things. Counters go on to the Crawling Barons, though. Okay.
The thing that's fascinating about all of this is Saku was able to do all of that and still keep Disdainful Stroke up just in case.
All right, draws a card with the Reckoner Bankbuster, and there is not a safety Reckoner Bankbuster any longer. This is it. So is this where you just run out the farewell?
I mean, if you've got it, yeah, absolutely.
Oh boy, portable hole happens.
Getting rid of Magna before that critical 5th treasure drops.
Yeah. Oh boy, for real. Would that have been game? I think so.
Yeah, another gold span hitting the field before
Because
attacks. Yeah, I
even
think that would have done it.
even through a Wandering Emperor, it would have been make, get a dragon onto the battlefield, which almost certainly would have been gold span, I assume, right?
Yeah, I'm just guessing. Yeah.
And then make a gold span on this end step, make a gold span during your turn, swing for 12 in the air. Only 4 of it can be blocked. I'm sorry, swing for 16. They're going to take 12 because only 4 of it can be blocked. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Once again, no attacks from Voice of Serenity.
Okay, but here we go. Oh! I believe where I come from, that is what they call a good one.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a heck of a card.
Bunch of mana gets sunk into it, but the most threatening things on Voice of Serenity's board are about to go away, and one is not 0, folks. It looks like this match is going to go in favor of Saku after all. Now, the Caster Curse could be getting ready to come alive. I just don't see it, though. This is...
I mean, yeah, I mean, Settle the Wreckage isn't in standard. That's the only out I can imagine here.
Yeah. Good heavens. All right, counters go on. Copies get made. Treasures get made. There's a disdainful stroke for the quasi Settle the Wreckage, and
Right.
I mean, good game.
I think that's a good game. Yep.
Good game.
Wow.
Wow, folks.
Holy cow, that was all over the place.
Man. Well, I hate to break it to you, Graham.
Yeah.
But both you and I would be out of this tournament if we had gotten to choose our seats.
Indeed. Yes, 100%. At this point, going to the top 4, we have Temur Treasures, Naya Runes, and 2 Mardu mid-range lists. I mean, I have been talking about this Temur Treasure list, and we did get to see it come back from behind in pretty epic fashion. I mean, if I had to pick a horse, I would be rooting for the Temur Treasure list at this point. How about you?
Yeah, I have to admit that's where I'm at. And admittedly, I believe they've earned their spot at the top of the standings.
100%.
There. Just very tight play consistently, and really showing up every single game, and just with a really sweet list. So very excited about that. That said, it looks like we're going to be viewing Tsubaki versus AbetheApe, both players that we've had the opportunity to cover in the past. Looking forward to that for sure. Interestingly enough, how do you feel about this hand? If this is a runes hand.
Sure. I don't hate it. The runes will draw additional cards. Generous Visitor on 1 with Layer of the Hydra. You could do worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. This is it's questionable because you don't have any of your truly important combo pieces, but I also just don't think you can get that picky, right? Like, at some point you've just got to keep your cards if they're going to be doing their thing anyway, right? So this feels like one of those hands where get down Generous Visitor, start growing Generous Visitor, give it some trample and all that, and hope your opponent doesn't kill it. Whoa.
That was a very aggressive attack.
Wow.
Very aggressive attack. I think I would have held back there until I at least got the Rune of Speed going. And just like that, Abe is going to be the first to mobilize a Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yes. And that is obviously a very, very powerful thing. Man, I am reeling from that trade. After having seen what you drew, I mean, I guess perhaps Tsubaki was thinking they're just going to remove it anyway. I might as well get the trade. Is that perhaps maybe what they were thinking?
Maybe. But in order for the Blood Tithe Harvester to have killed the 3/3, wouldn't there needed to be another blood token?
They would, and that's kind of what has me really questioning this thing. But you know, it would be removal for like your fables and things like that in the future. So perhaps Tsubaki was assuming they have a lot of other removal, and it's true to say that the Mardu mid-range list is not in any way short on removal.
Very true.
Man, I am very surprised. I am not in any way insinuating they misplayed there. That is not what I'm trying to communicate. I just would not have made the same play. That's for sure.
Right.
Wow. Well, another generous visitor shows up though. Counter goes on. And a 2/2 joins the battlefield. This reflection now being flipped with the Wandering Emperor on board. Yeah,
it's pretty good. Putting a plus counter on it just to have an additional 3/3 body. Can appreciate that.
Yeah, it does block much better now.
For sure. And it survives that. That meat hook for 2 was brutal.
Oh my word. Well, I was sitting there wondering, well, man, it feels like maybe you would just rather have the 2/2 vigilance. You would not rather have the 2/2 vigilance right now.
Turns out, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was wild. A very, very heavy swing early in this game. Would you argue with me if I posited that Tsubaki just fell way behind with that one play?
No, I think you're spot on there. I mean, Abe was able, and let's just appreciate the quality of the cards that Abe has been able to mobilize. The curve was Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Wandering Emperor, Meat Hook Massacre.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, those are some bombs that they were able to execute perfectly one after the other.
For sure. Now,
Yeah.
admittedly, I'm not counting Tsubaki out. I'm not saying, oh, the game's over. You know, this deck does have plenty of explosive draws, and admittedly, Showdown of Skalds is one of them. That's a great place to start here. But darn it, as you point out, you know, bomb, 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 one right after another. You know, that's pretty vicious. Oh boy. And Humiliate, going to whiff. I mean, Humiliate tends to be a bomb. It was not one here.
It can be quite good. You're right.
Put a counter on a creature.
And I'm with you. I'm not counting Tsubaki out of this yet. We've seen the Naya Runes list pull off some insane scenarios and come back from worse than this. So you can't count them out. Only having 2 green in their mana base right now does really hurt because they have the Jukai Naturalists as well as 2 Kami Transients that are sitting in the exile zone that are going to be gone after this turn. I should have specified having they wanted an untapped green mana source. I don't know if the shuffler was listening on that one. But
way to go, Caster.
I know, my bad. I'm sorry.
Absolutely Caster Curse.
You want green? Sure, here's green. No, it's not what I come on, man.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. Runeforge Champion going to make it to the battlefield, going to grow, I don't know, one of the Kiki-Jikis, I guess. And find a rune. What is the name of that rune if you are sitting in Tsubaki's seat?
I mean, Rune of Might, you can't go wrong, but I'd probably grab, Rune of Speed could turn the other Kiki-Jiki on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although you only have 1 mana, so never mind. That's kind of irrelevant.
But, yeah, shoot. Man. And the counter. Sure.
But on the lifelinker, all right, fair enough.
Do you attack with the Runeforge Champion knowing they're going to chump and then eat your Runeforge Champion anyway.
Yeah.
Probably.
I probably would have, but you know, I wouldn't feel good about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Admittedly, the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki being able to make a, you know, a clone of it before it goes is just such a powerful interaction.
Oh yeah.
But
Anything with a strong ETB trigger plus Kiki-Jiki is money. Like, it's so good.
for oh boy. Well, I mean, in fairness, you had your showdown. It's now time for mine, right? Oh my
Exactly.
goodness. Hoping for lands, but goes non-land, 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 non-land off the top. I think it's safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if Showdown had not shown up, AbetheApe was going to lose this game.
I think that's fair.
Without another land drop, right? That for that period of time. But
Yeah.
since Showdown did show up,
Yeah, it helped work through that pocket, give them access to a couple of playables in the meantime. Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen? You know what they are going to draw. So
for sure, looks like Runeforge Champion going to grab a Rune of Might. And AbetheApe doing an awful lot of counting over there. A lot of thinking, a lot of mathing. If I am sitting in Tsubaki's seat, this is terrifying. I know some people get really their nose out of joint, you know, when the opponent's hovering their cards. Apparently that's something some people consider BM. I don't care about that. But what I do care about is that I get this feeling like, oh no, my opponent's going to do something nasty. Please don't, you know?
right. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Like, I don't mind when, yeah. Like, and it's funny. Like, when I'm on my stream or something, I'll joke like, "Man, don't touch my cards. What are you doing?" But I'm just fooling around. I don't really care. But it does make me nervous when they hover over something because it's like, oh, they're about to target this, and I don't like that. Yeah. Or they've
Oh my
got
goodness.
something up their sleeve, and it's gonna hurt.
A land does show up off the top after all. And here comes a Bloodtithe Harvester, cashing in a treasure token, as well as tapping the land. Do you? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Humiliate is pretty good here.
What do you take? Is it just another Fable?
Probably
God,
the
it's so good.
Fable. I think the Fable gives you just provides more value than the Rune at this point.
I would agree. Because, like, you know, at the end of the day, Fable the Mirror Breaker gives you 2 creatures. Do those creatures do things? Gosh, I hope not. Because when they start doing things, it gets really nasty.
Right?
But, like, even if they don't, it's at the end of the day, it's still a couple of creatures. Admittedly, AbetheApe disagrees, goes with the Rune of Might, because admittedly, Rune of Might does say draw a card on it, and that is a powerful thing to be doing. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki going to make a Bloodtithe Harvester creature and then cash it in to get rid of the extra Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. And boy, that interaction is absolutely nasty, is it not?
It is. Oh, it's gross. I love it. And here comes another showdown of the Scalds. Tsubaki just top deck that. That's exactly what they wanted to see.
Good lord. 3 mana remain. Counter goes on Jukai Naturalist. Showdown of the Scalds. Shows, oh boy, just a host of very powerful things. Oh boy. Do you
Yeah,
agree
there's
with this line? This is so crazy. This is
well,
because the
yeah,
Jukai Naturalist Rune of Speed has got to be tempting, right?
sure, absolutely. But with this, you can play the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. You get the token. You can put the rune on that.
And then you rune that, correct?
Yeah.
Which is so good.
Yeah. No, that's
Oh my
incredible.
goodness. And here it goes, up to a 4/3. Draws into a land. That's a bummer. That part is uncool. Really, really wanted to draw anything other than that land. Of course,
Right.
the attack's not going at AbetheApe's face. They're not that close to dying, folks. So going after the Wandering Emperor, that does mean that AbetheApe is not forced to chump, and they can keep their Reflection of Kiki-Jiki Bloodtithe Harvester combo intact. But the Wandering Emperor does go away, right? So that Bloodtithe Harvester gets to stay around, keep picking off your creatures, Doesn't feel great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't help but wonder which creature's gonna get the Blood Tithe Harvester next. I'm guessing the Jukai Naturalist or the Kiki Jiki, frankly, because that
Yeah.
card's just great. Even
It-
though Runeforge Champion is definitely the primary interaction that this deck wants to take advantage of, but even so, I mean, the card's just fantastic and can do some crazy busted things.
Agreed. 100%. And it is notable, though, Showdown of the Scalds is going to still be on the battlefield next turn. And it's going to be providing all of those 1/1 counters to things. So what is on the board is going to get big if presented the opportunity, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing stopping that is if Tsubaki draws nothing but land. But yeah, that's you. I'm not too worried about that. Well, though, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But the Fable's on chapter 1 at this point, so they are going to get a chance to filter their hand a bit here.
Agreed. And they I think it's safe to say they can discard 2 of these cards, right? And see 2 new cards. So it's strongly possible there's going to be at least, whatever, Jukai Naturalist and another card happening. So it is not. You take it?
Probably.
I think so too. Interesting. Tsubaki disagrees. Goes with another Jukai Naturalist.
Yeah, that lifelink is relevant. I can appreciate that.
No, see, I was thinking maybe do that on their end step. Make your enchantments even cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But it's also entirely possible that Tsubaki is saying yes, but the Blood Tithe Harvester is very likely to remove my Kiki Jiki anyway. So if they're going to remove my Kiki Jiki, I might as well get some value out of it now. Why take an extra 5 when I can, gain some life and prevent some damage?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's as though. Oh my goodness. A second Blood Tithe Harvester shows up. Showdown of the Scalds goes off. Ay, ay, ay. Do you cash in
Another Fables here. Wow.
a Blood Tithe Harvester right now?
Well, given that you can only activate the Blood Tithe Harvester as a sorcery, I think yeah, it just makes sense. Just
Well, I
crack
mean,
it now.
one of the you should be doing the token one, obviously. But do you? Okay, yeah. Well,
Okay, yeah.
the decision has been made. I was going to
Gotcha.
say,
Yeah.
there's a case to be made for obviously keeping your Blood Tithe Harvesters around, but there's also a very strong case to be made for cashing it in right now, shrinking that board as much as possible, and AbetheApe agrees.
Yeah. No, that makes good sense.
Good heavens. 2 cards do go away. 2 new cards are drawn. Oh boy, look at
Counting
this.
transients. That's no joke.
No haste yet. Haste unlikely to show. There's just the Rune of Sustenance to draw cards. Which that's the one that adds lifelink, folks. Should you have forgotten. Going to hit the battlefield now. It does, and it lands on the attacking creature. Tsubaki says, I would rather gain some life now and make things, grow this creature enough so it'll be difficult for our opponent to not target it, right?
Absolutely. Well, Generous Visitor is a good hit here, but you need there's no follow-up at this point, so it doesn't really make sense to run it out now, aside to just get one more showdown trigger.
Yeah, you just take this, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28 life, absolutely.
I mean, admittedly, the 2/2 treasure-making goblin isn't that pivotal at this stage of the game, but it still has value, and your 22nd through 27 or 28th life or whatever has very little value.
Right, exactly.
All right, so what do you hit with this Blood Tithe Harvester then?
Oh, I'm hitting that 7/6 with the 2 runes on it all day.
Yeah, just slamming that makes sense to me. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, because that thing is the main threat. It's the primary target. Interesting. Okay, attacking first.
Double blocks, eh?
Okay.
This is kind of sweet from Tsubaki here. Because Iganjo will get value sooner or later.
And Wandering Emperor's even going to keep the...
Oh, no.
Even going to keep the Goblet around. Ouch.
Oh, no. I was going to say, but this at least baits out your opponent's stuff. And if they've got it, they've got it. And you're in a lot of trouble. It turns out AbetheApe had it. Oh, boy, did they have it.
Yep. Yeah, this is looking like the end of game one. This is not looking good.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And it just keeps getting worse, folks. If you have small children in the room, please just cover their eyes for a few minutes. It'll be over soon, I promise. Because there's going to be a second reflection of Kiki-Jiki starting next turn. And then Tsubaki will be required to have multiple creatures every turn. Boy. Oh, boy.
That's insane. Yeah.
Now, okay. Kami Transience heads back to hand. And there is a follow-up now. There is the Rune of Sustenance.
Right.
So, Kami Transience makes it to the battlefield. Counter goes on to the Generous Visitor. And now a whole mess of counters are going to be put everywhere. The Rune of Sustenance actually targeting the land, though. Well, why would they do that? Well,
targeting the Lair of the Hydra is an interesting choice because it is the only thing that Tsubaki has at this moment that can apply damage that is immune to the Blood Tithe Harvester trick.
Exactly. And it is true. If you're forced to bring it to bear during blocks, you are quite chagrined. This is
indeed.
But you would at least theoretically be presented with favorable block before you are forced to block or to give it over to the Blood Tithe Harvesters, right?
Right.
Oh boy, Rune of Speed coming off the top. All right, does this change anything? I mean, this is a massive attack.
Yeah, it sure is. And the short on the Scalds is also a pretty sweet hit here.
Oh my goodness, that changes things. I can say that with confidence.
Absolutely. Well, and in order to get out of the Blood Tithe Harvester range, that Kami needs to have a toughness of 12. Because when the Kiki-Jiki comes out and does its thing, when Kiki-Jiki activates and creates another Blood Tithe Harvester, another blood token is created, and so the Blood Tithe Harvester's ability will go negative 12. So, because it's twice the number of blood tokens you have. So, unfortunately, that Kami is a viable target for the Harvester still.
It's true. And it is also true, I suppose, that the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki does still have Summoning Sickness, the second one. So there is only going to be one Blood Tithe Harvester this turn. All right, Blood Tithe Harvester gets activated. It is also notable, AbetheApe knows about the Iganjo Seat of the Empire in Tsubaki's hand, and of course knows about the cards exiled with Showdown of Skulls, because you exile them face up. That's the rules of Magic. So given that AbetheApe is acting with perfect information, they just do the thing. Now, here is the really cool thing that we have yet to see, because the Blood Tithe Harvester has been being used as removal so often, is it does offer the opportunity to cash in your extra land drops and whatnot for extra cards. So AbetheApe cashes in a blood token and discards a land to draw a new card. We don't know what that card is because we don't have AbetheApe's perspective. But what I can say is AbetheApe is probably happier about that card than they were about the land they drew.
I think that's a fair assumption, especially if it was that wedding announcement.
Oh my goodness. That's a good one, folks. Oh my goodness, but that's a good one.
Yeah. Both players are drawing pretty well here.
Okay, so you kind of have to do it all, right? I guess you don't need the Jukai Naturalist, but you need to cast the Legion Angel lest you give up all of that card advantage from the sideboard.
Sure.
And you need to get that Runeforge Champion cast from the Exile Zone as well.
Right. Well, you got the mana to do...
I mean, you can, but how much mana are you willing to spend here? And that's the question, right? Yeah. Are you willing to bankrupt yourself and forego the opportunity to activate your Reflection of Kiki-Jiki?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Apparently the answer to that is, as long as I make my runes free, we're going to have a good turn. So let's do that. I think that's fair.
Yep. Absolutely.
I can't imagine we get to 25 here. But there is going to be a lot of damage happening. I can say that.
Absolutely.
Up to 10. Draws a card.
Now, how would you have felt about... Now, Fable of the Mirror Breaker has all kinds of things, or the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki can do a lot of crazy things. What about turning that on and creating a copy of the Generous Visitor before hitting those enchantments? How would you have felt about that?
I mean, it's fine. I don't know. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I think you need to have your runes go off, right? So you need to draw into runes as well. Oh boy, well, there we go. That's a good one. So put that on. Interesting. The Naturalist. Runeforce Champion, fine, I guess.
Yeah, I probably would have gone Naturalist too, but I think it's kind of... I don't know. I mean, I think the lifelink is pretty meaningful, but...
Agreed. Interesting. Because you know all this, you know the attacks you make here are getting through. AbetheApe is not blocking this stuff. They have a lot of life to... Oh my word.
Wow. They had 2 cards in hand, and one of them was the Wandering Emperor.
And in wanders your liege lord and demands taxes. And there is one thing that beyond death that is certain in life, and that is that you will pay your taxes. And here we go. Wandering Emperor saying, surrender unto me your tax money. Bloodtithe Harvester gets activated, kills the Jukai Naturalist. Presumably they're going to just activate the other one as well. Whoa. No. Is this lethal?
Sure looks that way.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
in the end, Abe was able to pull it off.
Good heavens.
That Wandering Emperor was huge because the lifelink off the Legion Angel would have been massive.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And comes up the Pithing Needle.
Heavens. Yeah, here comes that stinking Pithing Needle. All right. Oh my word. All right. So how much do you value the rest of your removal suite? Looks like Skyclave Apparition does come in. How do you feel about a Braid? Those Kiki-Jikis were awfully nasty.
Kiki-Jikis were pretty nasty. So no, a Braid might have a home here.
God heavens, that was wild, folks. And man, I am with Tsubaki here. I'm really struggling to figure out what other cards to cut. You don't want to dilute your game plan too much, but you know, you do need some amount of interaction here. Is it just like... Interesting. Wow, both Generous Visitors.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
That is... Man.
That's
rough.
a bold choice. Yeah.
Looks like the Braids might be playing on the side, though. Interesting. I mean, again, I am unwilling to say that any sideboard plan here is incorrect, right? This is a very challenging place to find yourself. The pre-boarded games, you know, you typically feel pretty good about. Tsubaki lost the pre-boarded game.
Right.
So now you're in a post-board games, and you need your deck to do its thing. Admittedly, you get to be on the play, and that's good news, right? But, yay, you know? Whew.
Right. My goodness, the last couple of games we've had an opportunity to watch have been absolutely bananas, and I'm here for it.
My word, how do you feel about this?
Oh,
this is the most borderline amazing, horrible hand I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, exactly, and this is up there too.
You do stone nothing for 3 turns into 4 turns, and then you cast your 2 most powerful cards in your deck. But like, how many games of Magic are you actually winning with that hand?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty rough. Because at that
Man.
point, once you have those, you know, as you're trying to mobilize those, your opponent has the removal for them, and they've had a couple of turns to set up whatever game plan they want. Raven Fiend went right out of the gate. Ouch.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh man. And you know, AbetheApe doesn't know what's in Tsubaki's hand. AbetheApe does know that there was a mulligan. Anytime you
Yes.
can interact with the opponent and trade 1 for 1 when your opponent's on the mulligan, you got to feel good about that. AbetheApe now knows what's in Tsubaki's hand. Oh boy. Fatal Mirror Breaker makes the battlefield, makes it 2-2.
All right. I have a feeling there's some lands that are about to get pitched next turn. Just kidding. Vanishing Verse is gonna prevent that that plan from going off.
Graham, you need to check
Yeah.
your feelings at the door, because that ain't happening here. All right.
Exactly.
We're moving on with this. We don't need none of that reflection of Kiki Jiki stuff. We're gonna prevent you cashing in lands here. Jeez Louise. And sure enough, again, like we were just talking about, AbetheApe does not hesitate, snaps off that block, because trading resources is great. Admittedly, also trading away your 2/1 for a 2/2 lifelink that advances your opponent's game plan is also good. But there's no hesitation there. This is a block you take 100% of the time.
Absolutely. All right, Jukai Naturalists are great, but where's the rest of the where are the other enchantments? Yeah, where's the gas?
Tsubaki agrees.
Yeah.
This is not feeling great. Boy, oh boy, good heavens.
Well, and another thing I've noticed here is Tsubaki's doing a great job of playing out the lands that have already been revealed to make sure to not give Abe any more information. Because right now, if you were to play off the Branchloft Pathway, that's the one card that hasn't been revealed yet. So if you were to play that out, then Abe would be able to operate with perfect information.
Agreed. And you, as you point out, you would much rather have that second green. But what is more important? You know, having the second green that you could just as easily put down next turn, or denying your opponent that information. I posit you're absolutely correct. I posit that when you are this far, oh,
Ouch. Meetup with the wedding bells went down. That hurts.
when you are this far down on resources, you really, really need to, you know, find things that can make you win, right? You know, you're looking for an out to win, and at this point, it's not looking good, right? It's so one of the outs that you can play to, and this is never the one you want to choose, but you can play to make my opponent screw up.
Yeah.
You would always prefer. Interesting.
I don't fully understand that. Why is there any reason not to put it on the champion?
Well, if your opponent has instant speed removal, right? And you need the rune force, or you need the rune to resolve, and you need the rune force to block.
Yeah,
so
fair
if
point.
you have targeted removal, they 2-for-1 you here, but that is a very gutsy play by Tsubaki. I actually kind of disagree with it. As again, I'm not saying Tsubaki is wrong here. I personally would take the opinion that if they've got it, they've got it. I'm gonna lose if they've got it. So let's go ahead and take the chance that they don't have the targeted removal, right? Then, okay, looks like they draw the best card they could have asked for here, and that's Showdown of the Scalds. Do you wait? Remember, these runes cost just 1. You can deploy your hand.
I think I probably would run it out and see what we can do. You know, make him have it. Because at this point, Abe is down to 2 cards.
Okay, Rune of Might going on to the land. No counters. See, that's the concern, right? Is next turn, you also get to throw counters around with Showdown Scalds.
Yeah. True.
Man, this is a tough decision, and it's likely, folks, one of the next other things we were talking earlier about leveling up your Magic game. When you need it, it will really level up your game when you can ascertain when you're in a game, this is the turn. Every game has a most important turn. The better you get at figuring out when that turn is, the better you will be at the game. Some of the best players in the world aren't actually that much better at all these other things, at remembering triggers, at doing all that stuff. A lot of them just get really good at figuring out when is the most important thing happening and then taking their time and making the correct decision on that turn. And you can screw up a whole bunch of other things during the rest of the game. And you talk to even the best players in the world, Gabriel and Steve and all that kind of stuff, they'll talk about, making mistakes regularly in different games and things they would have done differently if they could do it over and all that kind of thing. But it's when you can add or make the correct decision in those pivotal moments that really matters. And here, Tsubaki says, I need things to go right. So I'm going to take that chance and try and make something happen here and get the counters next turn. And man, that is an awesome, awesome and gutsy way of looking at it. But boy, I think it pays off here. Look at this generous visitor coming out.
Yeah, I know, and I think you're right. And it's kind of, I don't know if ironic is the right word there, as you were explaining that, to have the meat hook come down and just blast the Runeforge champion. But yeah, I think you're right that Tsubaki did do the right thing by holding out to get the most value out of those triggers. And yeah, we're seeing it here. Now the Rune of Speed has got to go on the generous visitor here, right?
I 100% agree. If they, admittedly, the most likely removal for them to have that would be at instant speed would be Vanishing Verse, and that does not hit Jukai Naturalist. Boy, playing extra safe.
Mm-hmm.
The rune goes on the land. Oh. Okay. Runeforge Champion. How do you feel about this one?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. If I'm Tsubaki, I am jamming the Crag Crown pathway there to hit the land for turn and just throwing down the Runeforge. That way we don't have to spend the treasure token.
For sure. Admittedly, I think Tsubaki's caution might be coming back to bite them here. Because this would allow you to grab another Rune of Speed, indeed, and you could be swinging in with, more than that. I guess, looks like 15 hasty damage this turn. Oh my gosh, more?
Even more. Yeah, Runamite off the top.
Okay. Good
this is
heavens.
what the deck's trying to do. So,
and another showdown. Did this go from, oh my gosh, things are looking terrible, to you're in deep trouble now? Oh boy, duress. That was timely. Do you have an answer to the board? Wandering Emperor, not good enough, right? I assume Tsubaki just goes for it. Animates the land. And jams every creature.
I'd imagine.
Right?
I know that's what I'd do.
Because what? Yeah, agreed. Just checking the mana, making sure to not do it incorrectly.
Sure.
Oh boy. Yeah, I have to agree here, because Wandering Emperor is probably the card that's the worst for you. And even that. Okay. All right. Yep. And combat. Charge in, Jukai Naturalist, individually lethal. Exiling that, though, is not enough. You have to both Wandering Emperor and Vanishing Verse, and then you still drop to 5. And sure enough, AbetheApe scooping them up. Ladies and gents, we have game 3.
We have
God heavens.
Oh my goodness, this is nuts.
Oh my word. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, so here's the thing. That looked great. Remember, folks, the Runes deck was on a mulligan, right? And remember we were talking about wanting to Fable the Mirror Breaker, discard some of those lands, draw new cards. None of that got to happen. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then boom, here comes Showdown of the Scalds and Runeforge Champion and stuff, and really changed the game around. But also remember, they were on the play. Now the Runes deck is on the draw again. And the Runes deck needs to be proactive, at least to a certain extent. If they surrender their proactivity to the Mardu mid-range deck and allow the Mardu mid-range deck to control the tempo, that does not bode well for the series. So, folks, oh my gosh, can they get off the ground fast enough and still end the game quickly enough without being on the play? Oh, boy.
That's a great question. I don't know. They're pulling the Generous Visitor, it seems. Interesting choice.
Agreed. But admittedly, it is kind of slow.
Yeah.
Right? It does help you go off on that one pivotal turn, but only if you're afforded the opportunity to go off, right?
And sure, and given the removal that you're facing, you know, your one drop's not going to survive very long anyway. So
agreed. And if it's just a 1/1 that puts 2 1/1 counters somewhere, I mean, that's good and very much worth the mana, but is it better than and more impactful than whatever card you might bring in, Pithing Needle or something, right? It's a great question. And one of the key decisions Tsubaki's got to make here, and only 30 seconds left to make it. I do not blame Tsubaki here. This tournament's on the line, right?
Yeah, here we are. We're in the semifinals here. This is, you know, this is single elimination at this point. It's and this is game 3. So yeah, it's all. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job getting here to the top 4. You know, massive props, all the respect. And but of course they don't want to end it here. They want to keep it going.
Agreed.
So let's see what they can do.
All right, folks. Looking up. And it's Mardu midrange against Naya Runes. For all the marbles here in this phase of the tournament. Moving on to the finals, this Victor does. So, folks, oh my goodness. Can the Runes deck close it out?
You know, that is the question. I feel like this is actually a pretty good looking hand for the draw. In my opinion.
You'd throw this back if you're on the play.
If on the play, I probably would. But on the draw, I might keep this. Yeah.
I think I agree. At some point, you've got to look luck in the eye and say, pay up, right?
100%.
Well, this is that kind of hand. Where...
Yeah, with the lands that they have, any untapped land, or, you know, actually any land, really, at this point, will open up their hand perfectly. So
and you have 3 draw steps. You don't mind going tap land on 1 and then branch off pathway on 2. As long as you get that land of any variety by 3, even missing like your 3rd land drop, it'd be great to be able to go naturalist into champion. But even if you go naturalist into champion or Showdown of the Scalds, either one or whatever, like that's still fine.
Yeah. I mean, you could go naturalist into Scalds without even hitting a 3rd land drop.
Without hitting another land drop. So admittedly, that does depend on both naturalist living, which is what makes this hand risky. But as long as you draw your 3rd land, it doesn't matter. Or shouldn't matter, right? I keep it. Jeez, this is scary though.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough call. It's definitely risky. It's risky, but I think it could work.
AbetheApe on the play has to mulligan. Has a turn 1 duress though. What do you take?
Oh, I mean, Showdown. It's got to be Showdown. And I mean, even if Showdown was even with duress, you can't touch creatures, so Showdown was the only option. But even if it wasn't, even if that was a Thoughtseize, I'm still taking Showdown.
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree, but that is not a land either.
True. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Luminarch Aspirant, not the sort of card we were, praising throughout the course of this series for the Mardu midrange deck. But make no mistake, folks, that coming down to turn 2 is a very, very powerful play.
Absolutely. Yeah, that never stopped being a good Magic card.
Agreed. Rip apart. But, oh boy. Interesting. Luminarch Aspirant gets him for 3, drops 17. 1 mana up, but only 2 cards in hand. Tsubaki did get the land required. Do you go with Naturalist or Champion here?
That's a tough call, and I think either is fine. Like, I certainly do not fault Tsubaki for going champion. I probably would have gone naturalist and put the Rune of Might on it. It's probably the way I would have gone there.
Sure.
But it would still be behind the Luminarch Aspirant. It would still be one power behind that.
Well,
So,
you couldn't Rune of Might though, right? Only one green source.
oh, you're right. You're right.
So I mean, it's none of this feels good. Not when you're staring down a Luminarch Aspirant beating you down,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you need to have an answer to that. You need to find an answer to that Aspirant
Interesting.
fast.
Well,
Free runes could get you there.
all right, folks. These runes are discount. There is a blue light sale for UK Mart shoppers. It is happening right now. Only you've never seen a blue light sale quite like this. Rune of Speed comes down for actual 0 mana. I heard once free magic cards are good. Well,
Indeed.
here you go.
Oh, sweet. Portable hole off the top. That
Oh
can
my
hit the
goodness.
aspirant. Great answer to that. But yes, it's true. All of our runes are free. Every rune must go.
Yeah. In comes Portable Hole. Out goes Luminarch Aspirant. Pick a seat.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about Tsubaki's chances here.
I tend to agree. God heavens.
And
And
risky
Abe,
keep, but
remember,
they hit a couple of good spells. I mean, even through that duress, which was pretty brutal.
it was.
Yeah, even so, they're still setting up a great. Yeah, they're setting up a great board here, and Abe is gonna have a hard time dealing with it, especially after a mull that aggressive. I mean, he had a mull to 5, didn't he? Like, that's on the play. That's brutal.
I thought it was only a
Oh,
6,
was it
but
6?
then
Okay,
after the land and the duress, they were at 4 cards.
got it. Okay,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
still just a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, right? And
Yeah.
remember on the mulligan, we talked about this a couple of games ago. When your opponent's on the mulligan, you want to trade 1-for-1, and then you end up on cards. Well, okay. So AbetheApe on the mulligan is presenting the 1-for-1s, and admittedly, what are you going to do? Just hold on to the duress until it's useless? No,
No, you definitely slam it, but
but it doesn't feel good,
no.
right? And here we are. Oh boy.
Valky get an
Valky's going to,
opportunity to grab the Legion Angel and break the chain.
yeah. Now, yeah, none of that feels good for sure. Because, okay. Yeah, you don't have any removal yet, right? So that feels bad. But AbetheApe still just 12 life.
Right. Yeah, the amount of pressure that Tsubaki has been able to apply to this game is, yeah, definitely nuts.
Oh my goodness, draws into another Runeforge champion.
And both players are low on. Both players are missing land drops here, but Tsubaki just doesn't really care. So, but you can execute on. I mean, 4 land is like more than enough for this runes list.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Oh my
whereas Abe,
goodness. There's the land
yeah,
drop. This has got to be the Wandering Emperor, but does it do enough? Take you to 7, get rid of the Legion Angel.
I think if I'm Tsubaki, I decline that chapter.
I
Because
agree.
with Tamio safekeeping, even if they have the Wandering Emperor, I mean, you
I
attack
agree.
with all, and whatever they try to exile, you just hexproof.
Now, admittedly, they could have Rip Apart and Vanishing Verse, but like, as long as it's not that, you have the game.
Right.
And even if it is that, you still get to protect the one you want the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
That's all she wrote. Wow.
Gee. Oh my gosh.
Well played by both competitors. At the end of the day, I mean, Tsubaki just drew exactly what they needed in that last game.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just could not keep up. It's understandable, but that's the rune deck doing the rune deck thing, man. That's
Yep, it's true. Huge, huge, huge. There is a finals match getting ready to take place, and it's going to be against Teamer Treasures and Naya Runes, folks.
excellent. Can't wait.
Agreed.
All right, it looks like both of our competitors will actually be streaming. It looks like we're going to be showing you from from Saku's perspective, the team or treasure list. Excellent.
Oh boy, what a hand! Look at this thing. Okay, if you were going to take 6,
I
huh?
mean, that's a pretty good 6 to take. Yeah.
All right, and for those maybe who don't recognize the cards on site, that is a little bit of interaction. There's some Dragon's Fire going on there. There is a Moonveil region, which is a 4/4 that can draw you cards and stuff, and then there is a Ren and 7, big old Planeswalker.
Yeah, gotta love it. So we have, so Ranger class here allows you to be proactive. And that's also the Outland Liberator, if I'm not mistaken. And so rather than play out the Ranger class, they've allowed it to switch over to nighttime. And the Outland Liberator can actually destroy enchantments and artifacts on attack if it's nighttime. And during the day, you have to sacrifice it to destroy an enchantment or artifact. Note, Kami of Transience there is not an enchantment itself, although the Jukai Naturalist is. So that's something. But all the runes, the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, even Showdown of the Skulls, although that chapter 1 is really, is pretty meaningful here. Circle of Confinement, that's an enchantment.
Well, folks, it's also notable that there is one removal spell in the entire 60 cards of the main deck. And it's Circle of Confinement. And there it is. Saku had the card they were dying to have in this matchup, and inconveniently enough, they had to watch it go away in the 60 or in the 1 in 60 chance. But oh well, apparently that happens.
There comes the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yep, there it is. And they needed a 5th land here, so Saku definitely needed a 5th land, but it needed to be a green source.
Yeah,
they were
none of this works the way you want.
Yeah.
Because you can't even play the Ranger class and level it up.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with this 100%, where you just cash this in and pray for a land next turn that does what you want it to do, but not allow your opponent to stack up treasures or have a place to put their runes. Notably, no creatures on board means they're just putting their runes on the land, which is less than preferable.
Yeah, although there is the Lair of the Hydra, so they could go on a creature land, but still, yeah, that's not what you want to be doing here.
Agreed.
So, right. Yeah, I mean, once Ren and 7 is online, lands aren't going to be an issue anymore because that +1 effectively being the spell Mulch is just fantastic and in solving any mana woes. Ooh, but there's a Showdown of the Skulls yet again.
Now, Ham.
Yeah.
Would you say Showdown of the Skulls is a good card?
I mean, yeah, it's okay.
I might go that far as well, if pressed.
Right. No, the thing about Showdown is, so there's this crazy card in Throne of Eldraine that ended up getting banned called Escape to the Wilds, and it did a couple things differently, but it was a 5-drop in Gruul, if I remember correctly, that drew you, I believe, 5 cards and allowed you to play an additional land. Showdown of the Skulls functions so similarly, it's crazy. And that card was ban worthy because it was part of that Omnath deck we were talking about earlier. And so it's crazy to me that they got rid of Escape to the Wilds. Like, I mean, it was running around the format for a while, but after banning that, they still printed Showdown of the Skulls. Now, I don't think Showdown of the Skulls is as oppressive as Escape to the Wilds was, or that whole archetype that Escape to the Wilds was a part of. But at the end of the day, yeah, Showdown's fantastic. Being able to draw 4 cards off of 1 card, even if there is a restriction on when you can play them, that's fantastic. Yeah, you just can't go wrong with that.
I 100% agree. And, this is one of those times where Tsubaki is under a lot of pressure, right? Mm-hmm. This, you need to perform right now. Admittedly, with the Jukai Naturalist out, that lifelink can matter and very likely will. We don't get to see what's going on over there, but we know there's at least a Jukai Naturalist hanging out. And is there a Rune of Speed? There's not. Okay, another Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Oh boy.
All right. That lands means that Goldspan can come down before it attacks, which is pretty nice. And because of the Moonveil Regent, that'll draw you a card. So that feels pretty good.
It does. Oh boy, inconvenient. How do you feel about this attack step? Knowing your opponent is about to gain a bunch of life back with the extra Jukai Naturalist with another Showdown of the Scalds trigger going on the stack, you know those creatures are likely to grow as well. Are you even blocking with your big creatures? Can you afford not to block with your big creatures?
I mean, I'm seeing that little trample icon and that Jukai Naturalist, and that gives me pause for sure.
For sure.
So holding the Moonveil Regent back, I think, makes sense.
And this does put Tsubaki in an awkward situation as well, notably, where, okay, if you don't do combat, I'm going to attack you with flyers and you're going to die, right? So now the Jukai Naturalist will come into combat. I don't know that Saku is actually happy about that, but it will change the way your opponent is required to play. You don't, as sitting in Saku's seat, you don't know what's in Tsubaki's hand. If there are a bunch of lands over there and they don't really have access to spells, the attacks aren't that good. Admittedly, this could be disaster. But changing the way your opponent is required to play, knowing that your opponent is always going to make a play that benefits them the most, or at least perceived, the way that will benefit them the most, means when you require them to play in a given way, it may not be as preferable to them as some other line was taken. So here we are, right? Trying to put Tsubaki in a difficult position. Admittedly, a 7/7 lifelink trample against your blue-red pathway is not quite where you want to be, unfortunately. Oh boy. Looking like a little bit of a connection issue.
And we're back. Okay, good deal.
Oh no. We did not come back to good news, though. Not if you're on Saku's side of the table. The other Jukai Naturalist growing heartily. And also being granted trample. So 2 mana left up. Oh, no.
My goodness.
Back. Let's go back. Let's this is not family friendly.
Yeah, no, this is getting out of hand. No question about it.
Oh man. Tsubaki dropping the oops. That was an oops-worthy turn if I've ever seen one. What we missed when we went away was Reflection of Kiki-Jiki making a copy of the Runeforged Champion. Runeforged Champion then dug up another rune, the rune being able to be placed, while also the Runeforged Champion being granted haste by virtue of Kiki-Jiki's ability means they're swinging in with just an awful lot of damage. The Jukai Naturalists on their own are lethal, need to be chumped. And having trample, there's no easy way to chump here, because of course you also have to get in front of that Runeforged Champion somehow, or just
Saku scoops it up. No, there's a moment when okay, maybe I'm not dead this turn, but I still don't have an answer to that. So it's okay to just scoop it up, move on to game 2.
And it is notable as well that Tsubaki had 35 cards in hand. I don't know, I didn't do the math, but like it was something like that.
It certainly looked that way. Yeah.
What are you gonna do next turn? Sitting in Saku's seat, you don't know what they are, obviously, but they are magic cards, right? So you can't beat the board. How are you supposed to beat their handful of cards? You could have given Saku a farewell, and they were still likely a huge underdog there. So progressing to the sideboard. Serena Speeds come out. Serena Sustenance comes out. Braids naturally coming in. Generous Visitor goes out. Akami goes out. Is there more you want? Of course, Skyclave Apparition came in as well. Are you looking at... Well, yeah, any of this? This is not...
I don't think so. I mean... Yeah, Pithing Needle is definitely to deal with Planeswalkers, and there is Wrenn and 7, so... Okay, but I don't know. There's also a Seeker's Chariot. Being able to shut that down feels pretty good.
Yep. And Fable of the Mirror Breaker, right?
Yeah, the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, yeah, being able to stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Outland
sense.
Liberator.
This is okay. You're selling me on
Admittedly,
this.
the Outland Liberator has the activated ability. The Frenzied Trap Breaker just is a triggered ability, I believe, right?
I believe both sides have the activated ability, but Frenzied Trapbreaker also has the triggered ability on attacks. I think is how that works. But I think you could still sacrifice the Trapbreaker to destroy something if you wanted to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But either way, whatever.
Yeah, regardless. The Pithing Needle did not come into the board. Yeah.
I sold myself.
Yeah, about to say, I was
sell
like
Tsubaki. So but, oh well.
I didn't realize
Turns
how many
out
good hits there
Tsubaki
were.
can't
And then
hear us.
we got started. Like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I think that is the right choice. Wait, Tsubaki, what are you doing? Get that Pithing Needle in here. Yeah.
Oh boy. Generous Visitor comes down on 1. But Magda came down on 2 for Saku. I do believe that's probably the best turn 2 in Saku's deck, right?
I think you're probably right, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Tsubaki's decision here. Just get that thing out.
Offer the trade first. Okay.
How do you feel about that?
It's a gutsy move. I don't think I would have done it, but it might pay off.
Admittedly,
And to be honest, I think the payoff is dealing 1 damage. You know, to the point where I think I would have braided first and then attacked.
that's fair. Like, admittedly, I don't think trading here is that bad.
Yeah.
If anything, it might even be good, depending on your expected draws coming up, right? Because the Rune of Might doesn't really want to go onto the Generous Visitor unless, you're doing other things as well, right? Like, just having the Generous Visitor be the only target on the board is awkward because it starts small and you don't want to dump a bunch of mana into it and then have them, oh my gosh, here comes the land.
Perfect. That's exactly
Never
what
didn't have
Tsubaki
it.
needed.
Oh my goodness. Generous Visitor does grow just a little bit. Unsurprisingly,
Yep.
do you present the trade this time?
I think trading for Magda was a fine choice. Trading for the Treasure Goblin doesn't really feel worth it, in my opinion. So I don't think I would.
I agree here. Like, Treasure Goblin's fine, but I don't think it's good. Admittedly, the treasures are so good for Saku. I wouldn't say you're wrong for making either choice, right? Because you don't want Saku to go land drop, suicide my goblin, play a Renin 7, right?
That'd be bad, yeah.
That would be bad.
And that might be exactly what's about to happen. Yeah.
Okay. No suicide. It's not a Renin 7, but it isn't a Seeker's Chariot. Okay. And the Flame Blast Bolt.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right, that was pretty good.
Fable of Mirror Breaker. Do you discard any of these cards?
I probably wouldn't. I'd probably hold them. I think it's a good setup.
No one to hold them, no one to fold them.
Exactly. Discarding a Rune of Might only to draw a Rune of Might.
Well,
It just couldn't stay
Admittedly, Runeforge Champion can get it out of the bin anyway, so it's not like it's a
True.
big deal.
Yeah.
This just kind of gives you part of what you would get anyway, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, Runeforge Champion goes through the library. Does. It's the Rune of Speed.
All right.
Where do you put this?
I probably... my inclination was to put it on the champion. But the Treasure Goblin's fine.
See, I tend to agree with Tsubaki here just because it blocks better.
Yeah, okay.
If they have a removal spell or something, being able to block a 2/2 body is better than being able to block, trade with the 2/2. In this case, it's one of those things where you're expecting the Chariot to come in, and you'd probably want to double block it. It also kind of depends on what your opponent does pre-combat, I guess, but that would be where my mind is at. And this way you only trade one creature? I guess, admittedly, you would trade only one creature anyway, but this makes it much more difficult. Do you trade the Runeforge Champion, or do you take the Treasure Goblin? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
So do you block like, whoa. Don't bother blocking the kitten either.
That's an interesting choice. I mean, they must be really anticipating damage-based removal here. Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't know that I agree with that, because flirting with that concede button, sure enough. See, that's the removal spell I would be worried about, and it doesn't get any better this way, right?
Right.
Interesting. Land. Champion?
Yeah, you can go champion into Rune of Speed on the reflection and go grab it, create another champion copy and go grab another rune if you wanted.
But do you prefer to go with the Generous Visitor? Nope. Apparently you don't. Forget that noise.
Precisely.
No.
Yeah.
All right. This is just the better line, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's better or not, but Tsubaki and I are on the same page. I know that much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree anyway, but I expected a little more deliberation. Tsubaki's like, no, this is the line. And okay, I can accept that. Admittedly, maybe Tsubaki is thinking, I need something to go right, sort of thing, like we were talking about before. So being able to make an extra Runeforge Champion just to block some of these treasure goblins would be, the right way to go about it. And combat.
A lot of power coming through.
Yeah. Your opponent's essentially tapped out. The treasure going to be made, but you're not expecting any haymakers after combat.
No.
Right? What do you block?
I mean, I'd probably put the token in front of the den. Well, they don't actually use Fable to create any tokens.
Wonder if that was a misclick.
It might have been. Yeah, they might have clicked
oh man.
proceed one too many times.
See,
yeah.
I would have wanted to make the dude and put it in front of the Den of the Bugbear, I think. But man, that's brutal. Admittedly, there's a lot that can happen this turn.
Absolutely.
3 is not 0. And we've seen this deck win from 1. So,
very true.
No debate on that front. Looks like it is going to be Generous Visitor this time.
Okay.
Into Rune of Might on
the
Champion.
non-token, yeah.
Giving trample.
That Rune of Sustenance is going to be very important here as well.
100% agreed. And the Rune of Sustenance. Keep in mind, folks, that unless there's an untapped land, hey, just forget I had intentions on speaking. None of this matters. Just don't even worry about it. The Runes deck is just gonna have what they need.
It's gonna do its thing, exactly. Well, so at this point, you got a Braid available.
Yep.
To deal with the Chariot. I mean, that strikes me as a no-brainer.
Absolutely agreed. And suddenly the game is very close again.
Yes.
Pick a seat.
Would
you dare sit in Tsubaki's seat knowing that the finals could be in your favor right now?
I'm intrigued by the notion. I am. But at the same time, Saku is, I mean, the card difference is really what I'm noticing. Like, Tsubaki's ahead on board and ahead on cards in hand. While they're not ahead on life total, I mean, to your point earlier about what was it, Stream of Life or whatever the card was that just gives you a ton of life, but that's all it does. I remember playing those cards too, and thinking that my life total was really all that mattered. Only to learn later on that no, your board presence matters way more than your life total. So I'm not too worried about that at this point.
I agree. Now, If Saku goes for this, cruise up this chariot, a braid happens. You still don't know what those other 2 cards are. This is just
Right.
pre-combat stuff. Okay. Do you
There it
still
is.
want to sit in Saku's seat?
I mean, it's looking pretty bleak right at the moment. Not
Okay.
gonna lie.
All right. Oh man.
And I mean, knowing from where we are, of course, knowing that Tameo safekeeping is there just for another blowout in a minute here. And the Fable the Mirror Breaker can create another Runeforge champion that can block the Den of the Bugbear and get another rune in hand. I mean, yeah, I think Tsubaki is. I think Tsubaki's turning the corner. I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I tend to agree. What is this final card? What can the final card in Saku's hand be?
Oof. That's a really good question.
Don't think Outland Liberator is good enough. I don't.
Nope.
Ooh, I don't think Den of the Bugbear is good enough. All right. If this is as good as it gets, I definitely don't want to sit in Saku's seat. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Down to 3. I didn't see any burn over there. Is there any burn?
I mean, there's the one Prismari command in the sideboard that can go face, but I think that's it.
Yeah, Flame Blast Bolt is creature planeswalker, right?
I believe so, yes. Yep.
Dragon's Fire, I know, is just creature planeswalker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see anything either. Of course, Satyr Skull Smashing. Yeah, just, yeah. Oh, boy. So, if Tsubaki... Oh, no. Oh, no.
Here it is.
Rune of
Runes are
Might
doing
going
rune
on to
things.
the extra champion. Just to give it trample. Oh, my word. As if one Showdown Scald's not enough.
And I
Need
can
the second
appreciate,
one.
yeah, and I can appreciate Tsubaki taking some time to make sure that the right plays in order. I mean, if I were on the ladder at this moment, I would just be like, I just jam everything I could and hit that attack all button about as fast as I could.
Yeah, I 100% agree there.
But I understand in a tournament, you got to be aware of every possibility. You can't take anything for granted. Like, I get that. Yeah, I absolutely get that.
So, yeah, I was going to say, looks like another Rune of Might. Going over here for more trample. Making it so all of these creatures are immune to your damage-based removals, shenanigans, and are going to be able to get through and essentially be unchump blockable. All right. So now combat, you have to attack with everything, right?
Well, I mean...
Yeah, I think. Wait. Yes.
Well, they can prevent 2 damage, effectively.
Yeah. So that's exactly 12.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Jeez.
Oh, Tsubaki, congratulations for taking down the Standard Slice Pizza Box Open on this lovely Sunday. My goodness. Well played.
Absolutely.
Wow, those are some great games. Those rune decks can definitely make some comebacks, right? I want to congratulate Tsubaki on getting themselves into the set championship for Streets Anu Capenna. I also want to thank JohnLikesGames and Hamhocks42 for their amazing commentary, and I want to thank you, the viewer, for making it this far into the video. If you have enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button for the channel, like the video, and leave a comment down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I hope that you all stay cheesy.